everybody. Hola a todos. Bienvenidos. We are wrapping up the first day of Wacom Academy with a very special friend, Travis Blaze, aka Sketch to Animate. Travis was first hired at Disney through their summer internship program and began his 14-year career there, bringing life to characters such as Frollo, Shan Yu, the Hun, Stitch, Koda, Goofy, and many others. When he left Disney to continue his career in the industry wearing several hats in the production pipeline, including director and animator for Cartoon Network, story artist for Disney, Warner Brothers, Netflix, and Rough Draft Studios, and character designer for Nickelodeon, Warner Brothers, and a variety of other production studios. Continuing his 31-year career, Travis began to grow his role as a mentor, and today he will share some of his industry insight and will help us do a portfolio review for students of Universidad de San Francisco of Ecuador and Senati in Peru. Welcome, Travis. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us. I'm so happy you are part of Wacom Academy this year. Welcome.
Yes, it's exciting. We work together, and it's always a pleasure to see you.
It's so nice that you're joining us for a Latin America project. I've always wanted to bring you along. I know you're very big on story, and you've always helped Wacom teach storytelling and animation through other projects like Cartoon Crunch and our own project, building a story and turning it into an animation. Today is very different because you're going to be just talking to us a little bit about your career and then jumping right in to help us review student portfolios.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you once again for this amazing opportunity. I happen to be living also, ironically, in Mexico City. I moved here a few months back, and so I happen to be living here, working remotely back and forth. So I just wanted to kind of go through, Elizabeth did a great job talking about my career. Yes, I was with Disney for a very long time. Ironically, I am currently with Disney again, working on a live action feature with the director, an amazing director named Barry Jenkins, and I'm working on the prequel to The Lion King, which is pretty exciting. I'm a storyboard artist on that project. What I wanted to do quickly before we go into our story or our portfolio reviews, I kind of want to go into what I usually talk about, which is the importance of storytelling. Story is what I started. Animation, I wanted to be an illustrator actually when I was in college, and then I decided to get into animation, and that's where things evolved for me as a storyteller. And now that I have kind of gone from character animator to character designer to now story artist, it's kind of come full circle, that the importance of story in every aspect of what we do. So I thought it would be nice to just do a quick presentation of something that I presented a while ago, but it's very important to me, and and I'll just share my screen real quick here. Give me 1 second so that we can see this. And it is the importance of storytelling in your portfolio. Now, I know that all of you are putting your portfolios together. You're trying to find jobs, get careers started, but it's really, really important to understand that your portfolio isn't just about having really cool images. It's about telling a story. And it's not just about telling a story about those images themselves, but it's about telling a story about yourself. Who are you as an artist? Who are you as a creative? And who are those people that you're going to go after? So I'm just going to run through this really quick with everyone. I know this is in English, and I apologize because I am currently learning Espanol and I do not know Portuguese, but I will do my best to talk slowly and go through this. So without further ado, the importance of storytelling in your portfolio. Telling a story is about telling who you are as an artist. A lot of these illustrations that you're going to see on here are my own illustrations, and just to kind of illustrate the point of what I'm trying to say. Knowing your audience is going to be a big thing with your portfolio. When you're putting things together, it's not about knowing like what are you going after. Are you going to be a character designer? Do you want to be an animator? Do you want to be a graphic designer? Do you want to get into motion graphics? Whatever that is, you want to know your audience, right? You want to know who you're going to cater to this portfolio to, what studios you're going to go after, what productions, and what recruiters. These are all going to be important aspects of understanding how you're going to put your portfolio together properly so that when you go out there in the world, you have the right tools to get the right job for yourself. Knowing your audience is also knowing who do you want to view your portfolio. Again, this is about getting to really understand your audience in general. If you're putting a character design portfolio together, you don't want to send it to a place that's looking for CG animation or motion graphics. You want to know specifically what your portfolio is catering to. If you have a portfolio that, say, is a mixture of all of those things, my suggestion is always to create sections in your portfolio that are specific to those genres or those types of skill sets that you want to present to these recruiters, and only show those. It's very good and a very good way to, because thousands of portfolios come in every day at different studios, and you only have really one shot at kind of getting a recruiter or someone's head to turn and really focus on your portfolio. So that's just something I want to kind of push that aspect of. The do's and don'ts of a portfolio. We always like to say you start and you end with your best work. I think that's kind of an overall view that I think everyone can agree on. You start with your best work, you end with your best work. Again, knowing your audience, telling a story. Now, when I say telling a story, I'm a story artist, so my illustrations, as you see here, are telling stories. But it's also telling the story. Your portfolio has to flow like a middle, beginning, and end, like telling a story. You want people to kind of want to look at it like a picture book, like an illustration children's book almost. It's important for them to be able to want to have interest in going through your portfolio and seeing how you build the momentum through your visuals so that you keep the interest of the recruiter as they look at your portfolio. Clarity is key. Whether you're a graphic designer, whether you're an animator, clarity is about clear composition, clear character designs, clear silhouettes. Silhouettes in, like, if you look at my drawing of the raccoon with the baguettes, it's really seeing a clear silhouette of his action and what he's doing. He's running away with a baguette. Maybe he's stealing it from somewhere. But clarity is going to be something that you're going to want to know throughout everything that you do. Making your portfolio accessible. This is more on the technical side. This is talking about, do you have a URI site, a blog post? Do you have a YouTube channel? Do you have a Vimeo account? Making yourself, today in the COVID world that we live in, and we are now in an international and global market, we in the US are looking at portfolios all over the world now because everyone's working from home. There are more opportunities for artists, young artists, old artists that are in different countries to find more opportunities for jobs in the animation industry where I'm at because of this. So you want to have your portfolio really accessible and very easy to get at any given time. That includes getting an Instagram account, getting on Twitter, getting on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is going to be a valuable source for you as a professional, especially when we're seeing more and more people looking at LinkedIn as a source to find other work. Especially a lot of recruiters I'm noticing are more and more online through LinkedIn to look at people's portfolios. And then again, what makes a portfolio professional? Clean. I talk about clean portfolios, keeping things simple, but keeping things flowing in a way that's not confusing or messy. Take the time to clean your portfolio, your images up. If you have images from multiple sources, like let's say from actual paper to digital art, make sure that when you take a photograph or you scan it, clean it up, make it compositionally appealing, have the flow work really, really well in your portfolio so that it doesn't feel like you just kind of took a snapshot of it with your camera. So that's going to be really important. Pull from what you know. Your personal style should reflect who you are as an artist. Now, as a character designer and a story artist, it's always good to have your personal work. And if you have professional work, of course, we want to see that in your portfolio as well. But pulling from what you know is a number of things, like pulling from your own experiences to put something into a portfolio, like character designing or storyboarding, is going to be really important to kind of, again, push the aspect of who you are as an artist and what is that story that you're trying to tell who you are. Your portfolio is a representation of who you are as an artist. So make it the best it can be. Make it clean. Take the time. Your portfolio is the key to getting a right job. So you need to really, really take the time to put the right portfolio, the right images, and the right layout in a way that is going to be not only your style, but something that people are going to want to view. Assets needed for your portfolio. Now, this again was catering towards storyboarding, animation, and character design. But this also similarly applies to other things like motion graphics or being a graphic designer. These things could still apply. Now, the things that I'm going to talk about specifically in this is going to be like for storyboarding. What are we looking for in a storyboard portfolio? We're looking for things that have variety in storytelling, action, comedy, and acting. This is like having a mixture of all of those things are going to be important for when you present yourself as a story artist. You want to see diversity in what you do. So therefore, acting, action, and comedy are going to be three key components to representing yourself as a storyteller. Oh, I'm going backwards. Here we go. Keeping your audience engaged. It's really important to keep the audience attention engaged. So again, when you're thinking about laying out your portfolio, thinking about what is going to be the best work to bring them in, and what are the pieces that you're going to put together that's going to help them kind of keep them engaged and not bored with the portfolio that you have, so that when you get to the end, they'll want to see more. Assets needed for 2D animation. If you are a 2D animator, or a 3D animator for that matter, we're looking for a variety of things. Clear silhouette, whether it's a walk cycle, doing a 3/4 walk cycle. Don't just make it a walk cycle that's clear, give it personality, diversity in acting and range of movement. That's going to be something that's going to be important for your animation. Now, I know a lot of times people that are studying animation, they're given assignments to do walk cycles or quadruped cycles. And a lot of times they look generic. The thing that's going to kind of give you the kind of stand out among the crowd is keeping it original and keeping it memorable. Try putting a story behind that walk cycle. Is that person running because they're running away from something like the zombie apocalypse? Are they running towards something with excitement? Are they sad? Putting personality and putting story into all aspects of what you're going to do in representing yourself as an animator is going to be really, really important. And then storytelling. Storytelling is the key to every aspect of your portfolio. Even when you do a CV, a resume, having the resume flow, your cover letter. When you have a cover letter that kind of tells about who you are or who you're going after, that's going to be an important aspect. Elizabeth had written or read a little bio of who I am. That's the same bio that I use for my portfolio. That's the same bio that I use for my website. And it kind of gives a sense of story of who I am as an artist and what my career has led me to do and what I am currently doing. So think about all of those aspects with the story aspect in mind as your theme. And then assets needed in your portfolio as a character designer. Again, you're going to see a lot of similar things. Diversity showing a range of character types, range of art styles, academic and strong draftsmanship, character designing isn't just about just making a pretty drawing. It's about shape language. It's about character and personality. When you're in the animation industry or storytelling industry, everything's going to be based on the story, a script, the show that you're going to be working on. So your character designs are going to be representative of those characters specific to that story. So it's best to take the story aspects that you know of that character and add them into it. If you're creating something on your own, like you are in college, a lot of you guys work on film projects, knowing what the story is going to be the best starting place for you to build upon your story. Elizabeth can attest to that. We did a story class really quick for the Wacom Academy, and we took prompts and story ideas and built a small story around these characters. And then from there, I could build character designs, which I drew live. And it was really fun to do because it's really amazing what you can come up with when you have a story behind it. Good storytelling through designs, as I said before, and good posing and silhouette, which is kind of synonymous with every aspect of your portfolio and what you're doing. Building your design is also about building a solid structure. Now, this is just a quick example of some bat designs with some little animal anatomy inside of them. But structure, everything that you do is building a structure. You're building upon something that has a blueprint. Like storyboarding is the foundation to production of a show. Designing underneath that gesture, that great design for character is a gesture drawing. It's also showing a little bit of structure and anatomy. Is important to understand how to build upon a good design in your portfolio, especially when it comes to characters. Even when it comes to animation, you're going to want to do the same thing. With layout, it's very similar. You're building structure within your layouts. You're blocking out your shapes. You're creating good compositions, and then you're building your designs. And whether it's a trees, whether it's a forest, whether it's a house or a building, everything has to start with a structure to it. And this basically that's the end of this quick portfolio. I try to get through this really fast just to kind of give you a little snippet of what I'm doing. The last couple of things that I have on here basically is I'm going to be doing a workshop on story development, which is coming up on October 16th. And also, for a lot of you that don't know, I do draw-overs for everyone here. So anyone that's in this current portfolio review, if ever you want to come over on Monday nights, I'm doing this right after this talk, as a matter of fact, I do free draw-overs for people on Twitch TV. So that's something that I like to do and kind of give back to the community. And then, of course, thank you for letting me do this quick presentation for you. And I think now we get to look at portfolios.
Thank you so much, Travis. That was wonderful. I have asked my team to share the webinar, the 3-part webinar that you and I did together, called Every Story Begins with a Sketch.
Yes.
And it's a very wonderful 3-part webinar. It's exactly what Travis said. You're going to be walked from just character development and in a really unique and fun way. Thank you so much, Travis. We are going to jump right in. We're going to start looking at portfolios. I'm going to call on Stephanie Salamanca Choque. I think we're going to start with her. I'm going to share my screen. Let me see if I can figure that out real quick here. Let me see. All right, can you guys see my screen?
Absolutely.
Okay, and if Stephanie is in the chat, can she unmute herself and say hello? Hola, Stephanie, ¿cómo estás?
Hi, Stephanie, how are you?
Hello, hello. Stephanie, ahí la veo. Creo que está en mute. Stephanie, estás en mute.
I think she's muted.
Hello. Welcome. Bienvenida. We are looking at Stephanie's portfolio.
Yes.
This is her cover. Stephanie, ¿nos puedes contar que un poquito de ti?
Stephanie, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Bueno, antes de estudiar diseño
Well,
y para complementar mi carrera, decidí
I started studying and I also decided to pursue a career in design and graphic design. And that's where I started. And now we are working with colors, as you can see. And that's what I've been doing.
Okay, Travis, so Stephanie is
Stephanie,
a student. She started in interior design.
Yep.
And has a background in graphic design as well. And she jumps right in her portfolio with a logo design project for El Reposo Perfecto.
It's very nice.
El Reposo Perfecto. Do you speak English, Stephanie? Can you ask questions to Travis, or do you understand Travis' feedback?
I understand, but I don't speak very well.
Okay.
That is okay. So logo, you're wanting to, basically your portfolio is centered around graphic design, and I see you have several different. You have two different. Looks like your cover is a sort of a graphic design, along with you have a logo design with El Reposo Perfecto, and
Yes.
I'm just curious what you were thinking in terms of creating this logo for this particular thing here. What is the imagery that you were trying to create, and what was the story that you were kind of trying to tell with this logo? Because logos are really important. You know, like my brand in the background, it represents who I am as a company, but logos are going to be like Starbucks to, Nike. All of these things are very important, iconic imagery. So what were you thinking when you were designing this particular logo?
¿En qué estabas pensando, Stephanie, cuando estabas haciendo este logotipo?
Stephanie, what were you thinking when you did this logo, and why did you put it there as the first piece in your portfolio? Well, I was doing 2D, and I wanted to use a plan, and I used a background, a system of color that represents. I wanted to work with shapes, different shapes, and I kept moving.
She just wanted to start her portfolio with a strong piece that showcased her visual thinking, and also just how she worked type, how she was able to incorporate type and in typography treatments into her design. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think would it be easier, Travis, to kind of go over her entire portfolio to sort of feel the entire vibe? Because I feel like I want to continue, like.
Yeah, there's then we move on to the illustration.
Yeah, so she started with a logo design, very hard thing to start with, because logos are really hard.
They're really hard.
And then she moved on to ilustración. So right here, Stephanie, is this a character that you developed for a specific project? Este es un personaje que tú creaste para un proyecto.
Have you developed this for a specific project, for a comic or something independent? Well, that's a mascot I developed, and it's known as Siku, I put decoration elements and the color turquoise and those brownish colors.
It's a mascot representing the traditional aesthetic of Peru with a character of the Lambayeque culture called Siku.
Siku. Okay. I love the color palette that she chose for this. It's really nice. It's the colors themselves, the choices of the colors I think are really appealing. And the character, I want to know more. What is the symbol, the God symbol behind in gray? What does that represent?
¿Qué es eso acá atrás, Stephanie?
Esa fue
What is it?
That was her main inspiration. So
Foi a principal inspiração.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Eso sí veo I can totally
É
see.
bem legal.
Las influencias del original a la caricatura.
Sim, dá para ver todas as influências do original para a caricatura. É bem legal, bem legal. Estou tentando pensar como que ela incorporou. Eu quase sinto que essa questão, o adereço de cabeça poderia ser um pouco maior, né, mostrando essa forma.
You know how you can make the head, try different versions of the same character, but what would the character look like with a slightly bigger mask, headpiece, maybe slightly bigger head, maybe the legs slightly shorter? How would that feel in terms of an iconic character design? But I really love the feel of it. My only minor nitpicky note would be watching the consistency with the character. When you see the character on the smaller version, the legs are slightly thicker than showing the ones that we have in the larger one. I kind of like the design of the thicker legs and the smaller one, and it would almost like to feel like I could see that a little bit more in the shape language that she has for the larger one, the larger piece. Do you see what I'm talking about, Elizabeth?
I see it. Stephanie, ¿tú lo ves? ¿Puedes entender el feedback que te
Can you
está-
see it? Do you understand the feedback from Travis? Do you like it that the legs are thicker? Do you like the influence of the gray here? Would you like to see it more incorporated? Would you like to play a little bit more with proportions?
Create an iconic character like this to keep those proportions consistent. But color-wise, I think it's lovely. It's beautiful.
Travis, what's your opinion on adding this kind of, column of text in portfolios? Do people who are looking at your portfolio actually take the time to read it?
Yeah, if you tell, it's important to tell the story. Like if you want people to know what this is, it's good to have a brief illustration or brief description of what is going on, whether it doesn't have to be over explained, but just really straight and to the point. What is the theme of the character? What is the point of what you're trying to get across? And what is the influences? And that's it for this particular piece. So I do think I like to see someone telling a little story with this, because sometimes the illustrations aren't enough. They need it needs a point of interest of why you did it. So, the type is more about, here is what I was trying to accomplish, and here is what I accomplished visually. So I think that is a good way of expressing. I say that with a lot of the things, the character designs to storyboards, to kind of tell those little brief stories, so people kind of have a context to what they're trying to look at. Especially, as you're scrolling through this, I'm also looking at the logo at the top, the El Reposo. I was just curious on El Reposo Perfecto, what the water droplets, or what are those representing?
Stephanie, ¿qué está representando?
Stephanie, the question from Travis is, what does tree represent? Where these are droplets of water? What is it? It's the landscape, and it's like a place where you can rest. And the green, of course, is a tree, and the curve is like a moon or a way to rest, you know. It's a reposo perfecto. It's like a place of form where you can rest.
She says, Travis, that it's supposed to be representing nature like a tree. Because the entire jardín, reposo perfecto, is an area, is a finca, is a sort of a resort in the jungle. So there's a lot of vegetation. And then she said that the circle is sort of a cocoon, sort of a like covering that vegetation and that jungle, because el reposo means like the rest, where you go to rest, a place to rest.
Gotcha. I like, again, I like it. It gets a little confusing, even though I understand now that you're trying to represent a tree. When I look at this, I kind of want to see less, because it feels like more droplets. And again, it would be a matter of just kind of taking the same shape language and maybe creating several different design elements that might represent something more organic, like vegetation, as opposed to what these represent a little bit more on the water side than I would say on the iconic leaf or growth of vines, organic growth of vines. So maybe exploring a little bit more of that aspect of it is what I love the idea of the symbol that's representing, you know, kind of containing this whole element for the logo. That would be my 2 cents or 3.
Perfect. I hope you understood part of that, Stephanie. Si no, te lo voy a platicar aquí por chat. Pero básicamente Travis cuenta que quizás también seguir con tu misma
Travis
visual, pero quizás hacerlo ver más como naturaleza.
Travis has to continue his visual language.
And those are the only 2 pieces, correct?
Yeah, that's 2 pieces. I am very sorry, guys. I was told just now that I don't need to translate anything to Spanish. It's just a bad habit. We have translators. I'm so sorry to the translators. They're doing a way better job than I am. Okay, I will continue only in English. Stephanie, I apologize. I've been confusing people. All right, I'm gonna just do it in English then. And my colleague here was explaining to us, Travis, that this figure right here, the background, the gray one, is called a tumi.
A tumi, okay.
Yes.
That's really awesome. Yeah, I'm just now getting into more Aztecian gods and early America's symbols and deities while living here in Mexico City. So I'm really getting into this whole mythology aspect. Yeah. So yeah, it's fantastic.
Well, a tumi is actually a knife. So she basically turned a knife into a character. It's a knife that, yeah, it was used in ancient Peru by the Moche Cultura. Thank you to my colleague Gisela for explaining to me. All right, well, thank you so much, Stephanie, for sharing your portfolio with us. I think you did a great job, and thank you, Travis. We're gonna jump over to my next one. We're going to share Alison Flores.
Alison, yep. See,
all right, I'm sharing my screen. Travis, can you confirm that I'm seeing Alice?
Yep, I see it.
All right. Allison, how are you?
Yeah, sure.
How are you?
Hi, thank you. And what about you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. I'm going to let you chat with Travis.
Hey, nice to meet you.
A pleasure.
So I see you're doing more like ad-based designs for, it looks like a lot of photography elements that you're putting in. Are you using Photoshop as sort of a kind of a smash up for your design elements?
Allison, are you using Photoshop?
Yeah.
What's here?
Yeah, excuse me.
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about this? I'm looking at the two designs, the tasty sparkling, and then the bottom one. I wanted to kind of focus in on tasty sparkling. What was the idea that you had in mind with slicing the bottle at the top to kind of represent this particular this drink?
Okay, voy a hablar con el español porque puedo manejar un poco más ese idioma. Al menos en el primer trabajo tenía pensado promocionar lo que es el primer zumo de lo que era cereza exótica y menta. Y para ello usamos lo que es una técnica de made painting para hacer como un juego de que está siendo cortado por esas espadas ninjas, por lo mismo que explica lo que es sumo, que tiene descendencia japonesa.
Perfecto. Travis, are you also having access to the Spanish translator? Or do I have to translate that for you?
Where would I don't, are they repeating it in English or are they typing it? Because I'm not hearing anything.
Okay, I'll translate it for you. I think people who are watching on Zoom are getting another sound feed.
Yeah.
So essentially, it's supposed to be like a knife chopping it. It's a Japanese style drink.
Like a samurai cut.
Like a samurai, yeah. So it's taste. It's so strong, it almost feels like it sliced right through you, I guess.
So I get that. So my instinct on this design is that you have this, the main really interest is the bottle itself, right? And then you have these sort of imagery that's sort of kind of coming out in perspective towards you, almost like an action shot of mint flavor and cherry flavors and these exotic tastes that come out of the sparkling drink that looks like a Japanese bottle. With the logo, it looks Japanese. So my big critique would be if this bottle is being cut and it's coming out, push the perspective slightly more with the point of interest of the character of this bottle. The logo is the first thing you want to see. You want to see the importance of the logo. So I noticed like tasty and sparkling are kind of coming out from the bottle itself. And I don't mind the background imagery of almost like an origami design. But I almost feel like we're losing where we are looking, where our focus attention is, which is the logo itself. And everything else is sort of overpowering it. I would find a way to make the bottle bigger, tasty and sparkling, not have it so dominant with this design. I like the aspect of the origami, but I feel like even in the colors and the values, they're kind of competing a little bit to me with the bottle itself and the colors. So I would almost desaturate, again, this is my opinion, desaturating the color slightly on the background, really making sure that the popping comes out with the logo, and maybe even push the design of the bottle towards camera a little bit, and maybe I would say 20% bigger the bottle itself because you have a lot of empty space around this design right now that could be utilized to kind of focus on the importance of the logo and then the bottle. Hopefully this is making sense. And with that slice, having a little bit of more action feeling, like it's being sliced, having the water, maybe a trail of something going by, like the thing went so fast through that we see a little droplet slicing through it, and then some of it coming up behind. It feels like it's slicing, but it feels like it's screaming more action to it. That's my opinion for this particular logo.
It's almost like a very clean slice.
Yeah, I had to do a lot of these in college too, these logo designs, and even in my own work. I mean, composition and storytelling is very, very important when branding. So you're really you have a lot to play with here, and I would just implore you to kind of maybe simplify a little bit more and push compositions a little bit, subdue the colors in the back, maybe push the bottle a little bit bigger. If we go to the next one is this Polar Renault. So it's Renault is a big car that I noticed when living in Mexico City now. We don't see Renaults a lot in the US, but I see these cars everywhere, and I really like the cars a lot. Polar and Renault, what is the story that you're trying to tell with this particular logo or this imagery right here? Because I see Renault Polar. Can you explain a little bit behind what you're trying to represent in this? I'm assuming getting away out in nature.
Allison? Can you answer,
Okay,
Travis?
en esta ocasión hemos tratado de decir, bueno, siguiendo lo que es un BIM, hemos tratado de decir que el carro puede ser todo terreno para aquellas personas que
It's
les
a
gusta.
car for all terrain, for people that love nature.
¿Cómo se podría decir? Aventureras en ese caso. Y para ellos
And
acompañan en todo momento.
the car is a car that can go with you wherever you go at all times.
Travis, that the vehicle can adapt to any terrain similar to the owner. It's going to be close to you in any adventure.
Gotcha. Some minor notes. The light, my eye immediately goes to the light source on the right. We lose a little bit of the, and this is just simple fixes, but we lose a little bit of the car itself. I would make the car almost slightly bigger. I like the car. The car definitely feels like the owner or whoever driving the vehicle, this is the person driving the vehicle. I completely get that. I'd want to see the landscape or just the vehicle itself about 10% bigger and less contrasty. I'd almost, again, want to feel like you're competing against value. When you look at an image, you're looking at where your eye flows around something. And the first thing is I see the person in the front, then my eye immediately kind of goes to the light. And then as I come around, I start to see the vehicle, but I want to see more of the vehicle. It is essentially about, the brand is about this vehicle you can take anywhere that you go according to your recreational needs. But I want to be able to see the truck a little bit clearer. And it's just, I think, a matter of blowing it up slightly a little bit more and then making it more less contrast, making it pop a little bit more out so that our eye wants to lead back to it again. Does that make sense?
Allison,
But
does that
overall-
make sense?
Yeah. Overall, I like it. I like that you kind of naturally played on the rule of thirds on this situation. The character is the most dominant. Then the next thing you see, then the next thing is the landscape The truck, I think if we pop the truck out a little bit more, I think it's going to be a more defining, more effective for this situation. And I would almost, it might be crazy, but I would almost take Polar and Renault logo at the top, make it slightly bigger, and put it in the left screen, left side where the light's coming from. And then you see Polar, and then you come over to see the truck, and then you see the person, and vice versa. I'd be curious if it was slightly bigger and over to the left, and popping that truck, if it would make your eye flow around it a little bit better. But overall, I do like it.
Thank you so much, Allison. I really like your cover. Isn't
Yeah,
your
the
cover
cover's great.
awesome?
I love the cover. As soon as I saw the cover, I was immediately wanting to see what she was doing, because I really think
Good job.
the cover is great, and the colors are awesome. Something about the red and the black really plays well, and you don't notice it, but then you see the sort of the vine, the leaves, and the flowers in the background. It's kind of a nice touch to it.
Oh yeah, if I zoom in here, you can see.
Yep.
Very nice. Thank you
Great.
so much, Allison.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We are now going to jump to, let me see. Marbella Suarez.
Sí.
I'm gonna share my screen. Travis, can you confirm that you can see?
I confirm.
All right. This is a very colorful cover.
Mm-hmm.
There he goes. She's in her third semester of graphic design.
Awesome. I have to ask real quick. Tell me your front cover, the color choices, and what you're trying to represent there. I just had to know.
Okay. Marbella, are you with us? Say hi.
Hola, sí.
Bienvenida.
Welcome. Well, the colors I chose drew my attention because when I traveled, I saw a bird with similar colors, and I loved the colors of a bird that represents my country and that inspired me. And that was it.
A bird, a local bird in Peru.
Mm-hmm.
And she loved the colors, so she's like, why not? Why not incorporate beautiful colors to the cover that represent my country?
I think it's beautiful. Now, and they almost represent the graphic of a feather itself. It almost felt like almost like a peacock style feather, not in that it was a peacock, but the style of how things flare out, and they're different levels. But I was curious because I saw two of the colors that are flat on the ends, and the rest of them were similar. If that was intentional or if that was not intentional. Do you see the two of the same color? Yeah, the one they're flatter, and then the other ones are more round.
I don't know.
I see these little things, so I just ask questions.
Yeah, Marbella, was that on purpose? Or was that a happy accident?
I almost would want to see one more of those in one of the other colors. The kind of sort of staggering design element, like even the second red. But again, just me looking at this as in terms of aesthetics.
Very nice, very opening cover. Let's see. Marbella, can you tell us a little bit about what we're looking at here?
Viu? Amor, traz trailer pra mim.
Sí, perdón, estoy muy nerviosa.
No, no te pongas nerviosa, Marbella.
No, don't get nervous, Marvella, please.
La maravilla del mundo
It's one of the seven wonders, Machu Picchu in our country. It's a great place for visitation. I was inspired because I always wanted to go there. And I wasn't able to go there during the pandemic. And the characters I have here are representations of the Inca people with a crown. They were large people. Now we see that from the crown. And we also see the flag of my country. And it's all relatable to my country. Here we see other cards. I did not elaborate much.
She always wanted to go, but she hasn't been. It's one of the wonders of the world, and it's mostly visited by tourists. But she's very connected to Peru, and she wanted to do this piece because it's so iconic of her country, and she feels so connected to her country.
Absolutely. What would we want to see if in the ideal world, where would she want to see this? And would it be like on a brochure or like visiting Machu Picchu? Would it be sort of a travel guide? Would it be an ad for? It feels like a travel ad to me. I'm just curious what I see a story of Machu Picchu, but I also see how you could utilize this, and I'm curious what she was thinking for that.
What were you thinking, Marbella? Was this for like a brochure, or was this maybe for a cover, or were you intending on making this Tumi character into a story?
It feels like it could be the book of a story, a cover of a book even, or a print for a gallery showing, or, you know, I love the colors and designs of it, so.
I forgot to tell you, Travis, that she told us that she thought the colors could pop up more, but.
Yeah, well, it just depends. You don't want it to compete. Again, everything is about design and flow. If you want the character, I look at pieces like this and I go, you want to create sort of that circular composition. The first thing we see, because it's the dominant image, is the character in the front. And then my eye immediately wants to go to the flag. I don't know if it's the contrast of the white against the red color. Again, and then again, my eye goes up to see the peak of the mountain in the background with that light shining behind it. You do a good job at kind of bringing your eye around. If you want to maybe it's a hard thing to do, but I think you do it relatively well. I would tone down the colors and the contrast of the character as the landscape goes back. You can tone, let's say, that mountain landscape down slightly more. I don't know whether you intended it or not, but the biggest contrast, if you squint your eye, the best way to look at a design, if it flows well, is squint your eye, almost like looking at a Monet painting, because I say Monet because he was blind for most of his life, and he drew in a very he created sort of like these big shapes in color in his work. If you squint your eye, you can kind of see where things are popping out and where things are receding. You have a lot of contrast with the earrings, and you have a lot of contrast with those shadow tones behind the architecture on that back mountain. And I would almost feel like you'd want to subdue those a little bit more, make them less contrasty, and push them back slightly a little bit more. I would take the black out of them, or the darkness out of them slightly, to kind of push that back, so that, you know, we really, even though it's a flat graphic image, you could still sell it with a sense of depth by showing atmospheric perspective to your design element. Does that make sense? It's about saturation, it's about value, and it's about pushing things forward and backwards. And
Right.
it's being intentional with that so that you want the things that you want to pop forward the most to have probably the most contrast and maybe the more saturated color, and then desaturate and less contrast as you push back. One other way to do that is the lines in which you're doing your line art could be slightly thicker. And Elizabeth, you're an artist, you know this, like thick and thin lines push things back in perspective and bring them forward. Even if it's a flat graphic like this, you can play around with the thick and thin lines to push things back as well. Whether it's intentional or not, the backdrop, everything behind this character is pretty much the same line thickness. If you were to play around with that line thickness with the way far along with that value color, I bet you're going to add a little bit more depth to this character piece or this overall design. Does that make sense, Elizabeth?
It makes sense to me. What about you, Marbella? Any questions for Travis? Marbella, can you hear me?
¿Me escuchan?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Lo que la parte de el fondo de las montañas y con el cielo.
The background, the mountains, the sky.
Hay montañas aquí.
When there are mountains here or in the back, you see as a reflection of the mountain that is further. So I wanted to show this because in the Andes, we also see this type of light reflection.
The light that you noticed in the back of the mountain, it's sort of the diffused reflection that mountains give each other off in the Andes.
Yes.
And she wanted to really capture that. It's basically mountains reflecting on mountains. It's not that the sun is behind or anything.
No, but it might be interesting to take those mountains that are in the background and maybe lighten the line. Again, this is all just opinions, but there is a way of I would almost, just for the sake of those mountains in the background, maybe not have lines in them at all, or take those lines and make those mountains way in the back. If you want to feel like there's a lighter, maybe go a lighter value of what's currently there, making the shape and going lighter on the line for those in particular to push it back, to kind of give it some depth and also to push the idea of that reflection that happens in the Andes mountains as well. So great work.
Yeah.
I want to
play
jump
around
down.
with some.
Yeah.
It's time to play around with some line weights, different. If you have a Intuos, you can do that very easily with your stylus.
Oh yeah, very.
All right, we're moving on to the next one, Marbella. I think this is an ad.
It looks like
for Adriana.
soccer?
Yeah, for Alianza Lima Femenino. Definitely an ad for a soccer league.
Which I like.
We love soccer.
Yes, I would almost. It's interesting. I have to look at it in different colors here because your screen is showing a little bit lighter contrast of the.
Oh, I see. Okay.
In the reflect, like what you're sharing, and what I'm seeing on I'm comparing it to two different things. What I'm seeing from my web browser on the iMac versus what I'm seeing in the web browser. There is definitely some differences in color. Is it, just so I can kind of get clarity on this, is this, hold on one second here. Is this particular piece in the video that I'm seeing for the poster design, those bubble kind of like light reflections behind her with the sort of paint design, is it more it looks more contrasted in yours than it does in on my monitor. So I'm just curious
Yeah,
But-
I don't know. I'm only seeing it the way I see it here in the monitor.
and
Marbella,
it looks a little bit,
Marbella, is what we're looking at on Zoom similar to what you were trying to achieve, or is Zoom really messing up your design?
does she see it as a different,
Marbella, can you
No
hear us?
necesariamente las burbujas. Yo cuando guardé mi trabajo era más transparente.
Ah, okay.
When I
Eh,
developed my work, it was more transparent in this part,
Yeah, she's saying that
but it was more transparent originally.
it's transparent. I downloaded it and it's definitely transparent. So that's why I'm glad that I'm looking at it. I'm glad that I'm looking at it separately with on my monitor. I do that purposely because what we see on the screen doesn't always best represent what we
I see what you're
downloaded.
saying. Yeah, it looks like, I
Yeah.
see it.
Yep.
I'm sorry,
So-
I don't know why it's
well,
looking like that here.
It's important to have, so we give the proper feedback for her,
Right,
especially,
right.
for that purpose alone.
So it looks like we're not looking at an accurate depiction of the work.
No, we're not. So, great. Okay. Overall, I would say I'd want to play around. I don't know why you went with black on the background like that. I'd be curious what it would look like with a different color, with that splash behind her. And maybe even that splash color could be the same color as in, you have Adriana, how do you pronounce it with the hyphen, with the U? Lucan.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm assuming she's a well-known soccer player. And my initial response is, there's thousands of fonts to play with. To make the name maybe slightly bigger and bring it up more. I think it could overlap the imagery of her a little bit more, or maybe even drop the photograph of her slightly down more, so that it feels like Adriana Lucan is more connected to her. Like, even if it slightly goes into her arm, I'd be curious if it would work better, just to kind of connect the piece together. It's about seeing the name, seeing her, and then seeing the background. There's this nice flat graphic imagery that's going on, which I like. And again, I'm glad that I'm looking at the
real one.
The real one.
Okay. I've been told by my team that we need to go speed up a little bit.
Yep,
Travis,
let's speed up.
so we can get through all of it. Thank you, Adriana. Really good to know that, to save your work and look at it in different screens, so that maybe you don't have to go through this when you're in front of a hiring manager, right? Like, you can actually see your work in different screens before you share it.
Yeah, and it's good, especially making sure that whatever monitor you're looking at is going to be the true color monitor. Like with my iMac, I always refer to the iMac that I work with color, and then I send it to my friends and make sure that we're seeing the same color as well, because everyone's going to see things slightly different. So,
well, thank you very much, Marbella.
Yeah,
thank you, Travis,
thanks.
for your review. We're moving on. We're having now Kaylee Antoine Ruiz Puma. Kaylee, can you hear us? Hello.
Sí, se escucha.
Hola. Okay.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches. Welcome, Kaylee.
Good evening.
All right, we're gonna drive right in because we have to speed up.
Yep.
This is Kayleen. There you have. They
Do you want to
included
be
your
the
photo
illustrator?
right in the I like that. I love when I see photos in portfolios.
Yes.
Here's,
Uh,
oh, wow, wow.
Does she want to be a illustrator? I'm assuming that this is, I'm seeing two different illustrations.
And let them answer. Kelly, what are you looking after? Is this your portfolio for illustration
sí.
work? Oh,
Sí,
this is beautiful.
exactamente.
Yeah, I like your use of your piece. Definitely, in the first one is very strong. I like the design. It looks like you were using maybe some kind of photo reference, but you have a really nice design element, and the contrast works well with the hand covering the face and the shadow. Really nice representation. It feels. I'm curious what this would be, but it's an illustration piece, I'm assuming, and it's got real nice emotion to it. I love the designs, the choice, like how you created the hair shape language, and how it flows well, and it naturally flows nicely with the hair coming down and around, and then coming up through the hands and seeing the eye. Really nice, strong piece.
This is very beautiful.
Yeah, it is. Going down to the second piece, my big note would be everything feels, even though you're doing a shadow tone of the character behind them as they're looking back, it feels. I feel like you've got too much light where the sign is, and my eye keeps going to it. And I know the emphasis should be about the characters looking back over their shoulder. I'd almost want to make them a little bit slightly bigger. Maybe bring some of that light that you see on the sign around at the bottom towards the ground plane around the shadow, just so you have a little bit more balance of the lighting kind of coming through this. And it is really cool to see the creature in the backdrop, in the background. Likewise, I'd almost want to see you maybe lighten, either pop the contrast a little bit more with the characters in the foreground and make them slightly bigger, and maybe mess around with the transparency of the layer of the shadow tone that you have with the character that's behind camera. It's like we're almost like the camera person that is in between the creature that's behind him and them. That would be my big notes, is whatever your lightest light is and your contrast, your eye is going to immediately go to it. And my eye immediately goes to that sign, whether it's intentional or not. And I lose focus on the characters themselves. I'd want to, the characters almost get lost in the same tone and value as the background when they're in the shadow. And I'd want to pop them up a little bit more, make them a little bit more contrast as opposed to the background itself. That is my big note for that. But overall, I like the piece, and I love the first one. The first one is great.
Yeah. I like the cover too. I like that they included their photo. This is animation design and animation production portfolio.
Yes.
So
Great.
very nice.
Awesome.
Thank you for your feedback. Any questions for Travis?
Elizabeth.
Hello.
Sorry to interrupt. Can you ask in Spanish if every student are on the channel Spanish on the bottom? Because I think there is no one
Sí, sí.
listen Spanish.
Nuestro público
No,
en
sí, sí puedo
español.
escucharlo. ¿Se me escucha?
Ah, okay.
Sim, estou escutando. Você me escuta?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for verifying, Kaylee.
Thank you.
¿Alguna pregunta, Kaylee? Do you have a question for Travis regarding your portfolio? I'm gonna take that as a no. We're gonna move
Sí,
on to
más
the
que nada
next.
quería una recomendación de la segunda
Yes,
ilustración.
I'd like a recommendation about the second illustration. I didn't know the size. I should do each character, each element, so that I could draw the attention to the characters.
They're asking, Travis, in terms of size and proportion, how can they make the character in the shadows pop out more? They feel that it's important, and they don't quite know how to solve that.
So what I would do is similarly how you have the contrast of the light in the sign itself. The color, you have a nice color going with that monster, that creature in the background. I don't know how you've layered your items, but I would pop the color just where you start to see his teeth and mouth. Like I would bring a little bit more light to the teeth aspect, and maybe add a little bit more saturation to the color of the face part itself, and then maybe add an extra layer that shows similar to how the shadows in the foreground, having a cast shadow of that fence that we see kind of more evident going across the forehead. And when you have a little bit more of that, that's less diffused and slightly more contrast, not as defined as the shadow in the foreground, but having it a little bit more, I think will pop that up without deterring, and it also will bring your eye to it more. Does that make sense? So it's probably a matter of adding another layer, maybe a multiply layer, where you can slightly add another color to it. Lasso the area around the face, if it's not a bit more highlight in the or above the nose and then the cheek area, add a little bit more lightness to the teeth, and then add that darker line that sort of represents maybe a cast shadow from the fence in the foreground to kind of pop it.
I think that would really help. So it's not a size solution, it's a color and highlight.
I think it's more of a color. I like the size of it. I would just like to see the foreground characters pop out a little bit more forward, away from the background, because especially the little girl, you're losing the little girl value-wise. If you look at it, if you squint your eye, best way to do is squint your eye. You'll start to see how you almost lose the girl's face and hair completely into the background. And you don't want to do that. You want to have it pop out more.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Kaylee. Thank you, Travis. I'm going to stop sharing. That's great advice.
Ok, muchas gracias.
Kaylee, and you can always follow Travis on Sketch to Animate on Instagram. And I bet you if you send them questions there,
I will even do a draw over.
He'll do a draw over for you. Yes.
Yeah.
We're going to switch over now to students from Universidad de San Francisco de Quito. The ones we just saw were from Senati.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
All great stuff.
Thank you. We're switching now to Andres Amat.
Okay.
And this one is a video. So I'm going to do a screen share. Tell me when you can see my screen.
Give me 1 second. Okay, yep, I see it.
All right, are we ready? I'm gonna start playing it.
All right.
En un fantástico viaje por el país junto a mis amigos.
An amazing trip with my friends.
Desde el lugar donde se encuentre, estará luchando por el cambio.
That was very nice.
Yeah. So curious, something about this. Everything has a very similar style to it in terms of the shape language. You see a lot of the same character throughout, kind of spread out. Is that part from a short film project that you were doing. I'm curious, this character, what was it? Is it for a commercial, or what was the idea behind this? Some of this, are these student works, all of this?
This is all student work, yeah. And I'm
Okay.
gonna let Andres answer that. If Andres can unmute himself and answer a little bit.
Yeah, here I am. Do you listen to me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yep.
Yes.
Nice. Hi, Travis. Hi, Elizabeth. Yes, most of my work presented in this demo reel is part of a short film I did, and some other stuff are animations that I did for projects for other people, you know?
Oh, okay. Did you do just the animation, or did you do everything? I'm just curious of what parts you played in this, because, you know, of course, when you do film projects, some people do color, some people do the rough animation. You know, what part did you play in all of this?
Yeah, mostly of the stuff is mine. I made background design, character design. For example, the one we are seeing before, we saw before, is a character design of mine. I made the backgrounds for that short film, and there's stuff where I made only the animation. The character you see the most, I made animation, character design, background design, and well, everything else.
Great.
And this
No,
one
that's
I
awesome.
did the same. Yeah.
Okay. I really like this character, this last one we're seeing right now. It's really a really strong piece. When you do this for your portfolio site, when you actually have a portfolio site, it's great to have a reel, and then maybe have a breakdown of what you did for each piece. I think it's also good for the recruiters to see, or anyone that you're looking for work, to kind of have sort of a breakdown of like, okay, if you did character designs, it'd be awesome to see like this guy and a little synopsis of what this is about. So you have your overall reel, which kind of is your show reel, and then you have extra pieces below that kind of represent each individual project, and maybe a little synopsis of what those projects are and what part you played in them. And that way it's good for the recruiters and the people that want to hire you to know what your capabilities are. Because a lot of times, you know, if I wouldn't have asked, I wouldn't have known that you did all of it, which is great, because if you're in a small studio, a lot of times you're going to be doing a lot of different tasks, right? You're going to be not just the animator, you might be the cleanup artist, you might do color backgrounds. If you're in a larger studio, let's say like Cartoon Network or anywhere else, you might be tasked at just animating, or you might be tasked at just storyboarding or layout design. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Yes, I get it.
Overall, I like the pieces that you have in here. It throws me off a little bit. I don't know if I would start, honestly, with the girl. I don't think I would lead with the girl. I almost would lead, put her in the middle somewhere, and I would almost lead with her, that first shot that you have. Do you have just one scene of him or two? This one is interesting. It's a really strong piece.
So you're saying, Travis, to lead with this one?
To kind of lead with this one, I feel like it's stronger to lead with, because then I'm more interested in, maybe if you threw that, I'd almost not even have the walk cycle in there, to be perfectly honest. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Although it's nice, it doesn't tell a story that well. I mean, I think all the other pieces are much stronger, and you could lose it without losing, it's not about the quantity, it's about quality. So that would be my 2 cents.
This is great work, Andres. Congratulations.
Yes. It's got a very neat, unique style. There's so many diverse styles nowadays with Netflix and Cartoon Network and Hulu, and so many different studios and networks are coming up with new projects. And there's so many varieties of styles that I see a number of places that you could potentially work and have a style that fits that, what they're looking for. So good job.
Any wrap-up questions for Travis before we show the next one, Andres?
Yes, only one question.
Sure.
When you see a demo reel or a piece of animation, what is it that tells you that the animator is, beyond junior level? Like, what makes him good?
Wow, I mean, that's a good question. You're going very graphic, right? A lot of these designs that you're doing right now are very graphic and flat in certain aspects. But little things, perspective, how well can you take a flat graphic image and have it feel like it's coming in perspective? Like when you go to Elizabeth, if you go to the shot where the guy gets up and walks towards camera, it's in the beginning, this part right here. It's these shots that, like, pause for a moment. This shot here, I would have little aesthetic notes for this, but pushing the perspective, really feeling the weight of the character walking towards camera. You can put probably a little bit more weight, a little bit more perspective in that last foot that's coming forward. As an artist looking at things like this, I look at the graphic shape, and then I also look at how well you use your use of perspective and your weight distribution in terms of the walk cycle. Like that foot, I would probably change the foot a little bit on that last one. But you're asking me, how do I tell? It's looking at these little things, these critiques that I'm giving you now, that will help plus things, but also looking at it's a hard thing. It's very subjective when it comes to more graphic design pieces like that one with the young sailor character. When you're dealing with like what I did, I animated Stitch, or if I animated all the Huns, and they're more realistic movement, more realistic style. A lot of the things that you're going for are very stylized and very not as full-on fluid animation, but there are things in there that I'm looking at that could still help sell the look and feel of what you're going for. This reel wouldn't necessarily be a reel that you would send to, let's say, feature animation, but this would be a reel that you could use for commercials and for TV shows. Does that make sense?
Yes, I'm following.
Yeah. And especially, I mean, a lot of this stuff is great. I mean, I really like especially that black and white one. It's timing. It's looking at the timing, that kind of stuff. I know we got to move forward, but I would encourage you, if you have more questions, we can post in my links to where you can find me. If you guys ever have any questions with further stuff on your portfolio, Elizabeth knows I'm a very big advocate of education and helping others. So that's the reason why I have this company, and you guys are more than welcome to kind of join me on Monday nights. So
every Monday night on Sketch to Animate, you can find Travis giving feedback to a lot of students, a lot of young professionals. Please go keep him good company. Yeah. I'm going to jump next to Diego.
Yep.
Yerena. I'm gonna share my screen. Hello. Nice to meet you. I'm gonna share your reel, and then we can chat with Travis.
Okay.
Oh my God, wait, I think I have
Is it someone else?
No, it's mine.
Oh, volume up. Yep, there you go.
Wow, that was very
Great.
nice, Diego.
Great work. You got a lot of, now, first question for you is like, did you do everything in this? Effects?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
All
okay,
the
great.
pros.
Yeah, there's so many different animation styles happening. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of like, can you tell me a little bit about your influences? Like, what do you like?
I think I got influenced by like an anime style, some European style too, and some independent studios too. But I think that's the main focus. I don't do like too realistic things. I like a little bit cartoony, but not too cartoony like Disney. So
Absolutely. No, I totally, and the great thing about animation is you don't have to do Disney. You know, there's so many variances of styles from Tonka House to, Transylvania to, Steven Universe. And like this piece right now that we're looking at with the gorilla, great character piece. It feels really nice, designy, nice effects on the skull. This one right here, if you pause that I was trying to like think where this was, that one Elizabeth, where the head was transforming. It had sort of an Akira vibe to it, but then also like Adult Swim kind of feel. A lot of shows that you see on Adult Swim. All of the stuff looks really, really nice. It's definitely very specific styles that you're going for. Again, I think the flow works really well. I think you end it really nicely with this piece. Go back to the first part again. Like when you're putting animation demos together with multiple styles, it's about your best piece and your last piece. And the same note I would give is like, once you show your demo reel, I would have a breakdown of what you did and kind of show like, oh, this was from this piece, this is for this sort of. So again, so the people that are viewing your portfolio want know a little bit more about what you did. Like if you did the backgrounds, say you did the backgrounds. You know, if you just the characters without the color, say that. I love these little characters in here. This is great. I almost wonder if we would lead again with a stronger piece in the beginning of the reel than what you have in the very, very initial spot. But like, this is I love this. You have a lot of really good weight and feel to your animation. A lot of stretchy, squashy kind of influences, especially in this. I can tell that you have a sense of understanding of shape, language. You seem to do really well with effects, which means that you could probably get into an effect situation, because when you're at a bigger studio versus a smaller studio, you're more hands-on with the little aspects. And just like with the first person, I would say it's great that you show that versatility, so that you're not only a character animator, but you're also an effects artist. You can also do backgrounds, and all of this stuff is great. Really nice feel of the hands. I know it's got a staggering kind of thing. It's not all on twos. It's like 4s and 6s kind of feel, timing wise. And then the shape characters are more fluid animation. All of it feels great. Like again, I don't know why I gravitated this piece, but what was this for? What was your idea behind this gorilla?
It was a work for advertisements. So they need to like show a chocolate bar with a strong gorilla. So that's what I did. So that.
Love it. I like where it's at. I almost wonder, again, like just looking at some of these pieces, if there's anything I would take out. You have a lot in here, but overall it looks pretty solid. Okay, yeah, that's a great piece for transformation. And what is this character from?
I work also with some people from Twitch. So you do Twitch, you know, and you have these alerts. So I do that kind of stuff.
Oh,
so
okay, great.
That's alert from Twitch notification.
I would just, again, less is more. When you're looking at your portfolio, you don't always have to throw everything but the kitchen sink in there. It's just, could you weed this down to just a few more, less pieces, but really strong. Are you going after, it looks like some of the stuff could almost be like video game style.
Yes, actually this one, the blue guy and the green guy is from video game I work. It's a small indie video game, so I work in the art for all the video game. So that's why it looks like video game stuff.
Okay, great. Yeah. I don't have a whole lot more to comment on other than that. What are the software programs you're using?
Toon Boom, Photoshop, After Effects, Premiere, Clip Paint.
Yeah, those are all good things to do, especially in this industry, especially with what you're doing. More than not, it's good to have a proficiency in Toon Boom. So it's good that you're doing it. I mean, I use TV Paint quite a bit, but mainly because I'm more of a traditionalist and I'm not doing the type of stuff that I'm doing doesn't require me to do Toon Boom right now. So, but more than likely, any productions that I'm working on that I'm developing will more than end up like in commercial wise for TV would be Toon Boom. So the more you know, the better you are going to definitely be in that. So good on you for that.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
That's great work, Diego. And I'm just gonna add that I really like the music that you chose, Diego.
Yeah, the music is great too. Do you have any questions for me?
Yes, it's a question not about the demo reel. It's like, what do you think about a master's degree in arts or in animation or academic private school? It is worth it to, have a good portfolio or work or.
I'm never going to stop anyone from getting higher education. I know that it is for a lot of ways important to have degrees, and especially if you want to transfer and get visas in other countries, like let's say going to Canada, to have an education gives you points towards getting a visa if let's say you want to work in a studio in Canada. If you're going to be teaching, I think it's a must to have a master's degree for teaching purposes. But when it comes to downright aesthetics for getting a job in an actual animation studio, we're not looking at degrees, we're looking at portfolios, right? So if your portfolio is the right fit for that particular studio, then there's no reason to go to a university to continue that. But I'm not going to discourage anyone from getting into higher education, because I do think there are important aspects, and obviously logistical aspects when it comes to my partner. She's in Canada, or I'm sorry, she's in South Africa, but she wants to move to my business partner. She wants to move to Canada. So she's taking university classes to gain points so that she can get more points to become a Canadian citizen. So there's that aspect, plus the teaching aspect. If you want to, let's say in the US, you have to have at least a master's degree to teach in a university, or at least 20 years experience in the field of your expertise. Those are just requirements that you can't get around. So that would be my argument. But if it comes down to just portfolio is a portfolio. If you're good, you're going to get hired. If you're not good, you're not going to get hired. Or if you're good and you're almost there, they're going to tell you, and you're going to keep working on your portfolio. There's so much online courses that you can take nowadays between Schoolism and Proco and my brother's company, Creature Art Teacher. you know, there's many different types, and especially with what I'm doing with my workshops, there's different ways to get you know, additional education. But those places are about building the right portfolio, whereas a university or a state school is about giving you the curriculum, the academic side, to get that degree, if that makes sense.
Okay, yes.
Okay, there you go. All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for
welcome.
your valuable time. Have a good night.
Have a great night.
Thank you so much, Diego.
Thank you.
Your portfolio is amazing.
Thank you.
We're going to move on from Diego to Daniel. Daniel Bedoya, who also sent us his reel. I'm going to share it. Please confirm that you can see it, Travis.
I can see it.
I'm going to put some volume because last time I didn't, and here you go.
Me? Those days are long behind me. I don't think I've held a balloon since I was a child. And you've forgotten what it's like to hold a balloon. To be a child.
Okay.
Right on.
Awesome. Who is this again?
This is our friend Ruben. I'm sorry, Daniel Bedoya. Daniel.
Hi. Actually, I'm Daniela.
Danny,
Hi,
I'm
everyone.
so sorry, Danny. I'm so sorry about that.
That's all right. How are you doing?
Oh, it's okay. I'm fine. Thank you so much.
So what year are you, student-wise?
I'm sorry?
What year are you in school? Because what I could see is a lot of it looks like student work in a university. So what university is it that you're going to again?
Yeah, I'm in Universidad San Francisco de Quito. I'm
Okay,
in
yeah.
third year, but actually most of this is from past years because I've been now focusing more on illustration.
More on illustration side. Okay, great. So you're doing animation and illustration as sort of your background experience that you're building towards. Got it. Yeah, a lot of the stuff is great. I would say just if you were showing this, because it looks like you have a lot of an anime influence in terms of your brush, you know, when you do the swipes and sort of the look is, are you influenced a little bit by anime?
Well, actually, I don't watch anime at all, but I love smears, kind of like Looney Tunes and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's because those smears have a lot of it just kind of like that right there. I see the blurs and the smears. It feels more anime, and probably more so because of the timing and the character timing of your movement and actions. My first thing is I like how you start off with this piece. And it's kind of funny. It's like, you know, having a baby. That's kind of hilarious. If ever you had the time and wanted to, I would get rid of the charts that are in there. Like if you could get rid of the charts and clean it up and not have them in there, I think that would be better. They're a little, I know it's a very kind of nitpicky thing, but it's very distracting to see the charts for the in-betweens.
Oh, okay.
It feels nice, the little weight. I feel like I'd want to feel a little bit heavier weight on that jump. If you go back to that jump real quick, crossing the building, go ahead. This is what I would do for that particular piece in general. If I was to give you a note, go to the beginning of that. Stop. Sorry. Okay, start smaller. Have the character about 20% smaller so that when you get to the top part of this arc, I want to feel like it's coming towards you more. I would almost maybe change the ground plane to where the ground plane's more up towards you, so you can kind of feeling of more of that arc, and change of size because it is coming towards you and towards camera. I would make this area a lot bigger than what it is, so that you feel the depth of perspective coming towards you. And I think that's going to make a huge difference on how this impacts the overall animation piece. I'm using this particular one as a note because if I was teaching this animation class, this is probably what I would show you or teach you. Because you have the right arc, you have the right kind of mechanics and feeling of it, but we're losing the emphasis of the impact of it coming towards camera and making it feel a little bit more dynamic. And I would add that in there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's perfect. Thank you so much. I knew something was missing. I just couldn't point my finger at it.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of what I do for a living. So it's fun. I always love seeing other people's work because it's inspiring. And it also gives me, it challenges me in terms of my experience. I like this character coming up. Again, I think it's much the same way. It's pushing the pose a little bit more of a, really kind of getting up. And then when he goes to stand up, I want to feel like a higher size coming up from standing there to when he gets up. It doesn't feel like his head level when he there to when he stands up isn't that much more. It's very subtle. I'd want to maybe drop this overall scene down lower in the scene and then have him pop up a little bit higher, so there's more of a contrast between him getting up and then him standing up, which again will give more impact in terms of the timing of it coming up. Go ahead, keep going. And again, I think if you go back to the pogo stick, I think this is great. I feel like you could hold it a little bit more in the timing, on the timing going up. If you scaled it down and maybe had him jump a little bit higher, maybe bounce up, bounce up cycle, just to kind of get a little variance of timing. I'm giving you timing notes right now is what I'm doing. But just to kind of help, because that's more about that particular pogo piece is more of an exercise of timing, weight distribution, and overlap, right? You're learning overlap in this. How does the hair overlap? How does the weight bouncing up and down affect the overlap? Because those are all secondary actions. And yeah, I think it's about as much time as I can give you, but overall, it's a great study. Now, I'd be curious to see what you do with your illustration work. Again, if you want to ever send your work over. Okay. If you guys ever want to, again, seriously, send your stuff over to Sketch to Animate, and we'll take a look at it on Monday nights on Twitch. So, and it's free. Crazy, I know. So who do we have next?
Well, I actually did send a portfolio too, but I don't know if there's time for that.
We don't have much time.
We don't have much time left, Daniela, but I invite you to literally, after this, you jump to Twitch and go to Travis' channel, because Sketch to Animate is always doing similar things to what we're doing tonight, doing draw-overs and giving feedback on his Twitch channel. So I'm going to ask my team to drop it in the chat here, but Sketch to Animate on Twitch.
Yep, and if you do, just go to our website. You can also join our Discord there too, because that there's another way of getting, has draw over Mondays on that as well. It gives you information what you can do.
We have two more. Thank you so much, Daniela.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
We're going to move over now to Adriana Vinuesa. And I'm gonna share my screen. 1 second.
Hi.
Hi. We're waiting.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Thanks. It's been pretty interesting to hear you talking about everything so far.
Oh, good, great. I'm glad. I hope it's informative.
It is. It is.
Let's see. Okay, Adriana.
Can you guys confirm that you can see Adriana's
I can see it.
beautiful cover? All right.
Yeah, I love it. It looks great. Love the colors.
Ilustración personal proyecto. All right, I'm gonna start scrolling.
Okay.
Hasta la raíz background painting.
Mm-hmm.
Character design slide. Real life 30-minute studies. Very nice.
Oh yeah, those are great.
These are great. It's a lot of range here, Travis.
Mm-hmm.
Personal illustrations. I love the color palettes.
Yeah, the color palettes really is what's striking to me that I like a lot.
Yeah. Wow. These are so fun.
You know, I would encourage, honestly, like just because in Elizabeth, you know, I work with a company called Lytro, and Lytro is looking for more artists like this with diverse styles like this, and these are really nice. I particularly like the color. This color palette on your personal illustrations is really nice.
Thank you.
Are you wanting to be? So, what is your background? Like, what do you want to do ultimately? Like illustration, more like illustration work for you know, online content, books.
Yes, I currently am studying animation, but I would like to focus on character design, concept art. Like, I really love to illustrate, so my main goal in life is actually to illustrate. Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. No, this is awesome because I mean, a lot of the work feels very, for lack of a better term, Hallmark greeting cards and print work, and it's not that's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. You know, illustrations is a great way to earn an income. It's a great way to have experience. You know, I started off as a children's, you know, I wanted to be a children's book illustrator is what I wanted to do. And then somehow I got pulled into animation. So I ended up ultimately getting, and now I'm coming back full circle and wanting to start, I'm doing more illustration work on the side, which is nice. All of the pieces feel very strong. I'm looking at your portfolio as a whole, and I'm looking at your color palettes. You know, I would always, I hate to say it, still lifes are a very hard subject because it's a very common thing in college. But and I would say they tend to be boring, but your color palette isn't boring at all. So especially, you know, Elizabeth, right up on the top, if you go back to the still lifes again, you've got a really nice aesthetic to these pieces that make them more interesting than just a still life, which is a hard thing to do. So kudos to you for that.
Thanks.
The illustration, your personal illustrations, I think are strong. Where I think you're falling a little short, if you want to get into character design, you definitely have to have the more character design work, right? Even though these are great and they're consistent with what your portfolios together, if you want to, like, you have a little synopsis of what they are. With character design, if you wanted to get into film or television, it's about what's the story behind the character. It's about the diversity of your shape languages. It's also how you set things up. Interactions with the characters is nice, like kind of similar to what you have. Turnarounds, you know, expression sheets, kind of showing their personalities. And then expression poses, especially with them interacting, putting them in a story situation will help you sell that character design aspect to your work. So I would definitely look into adding a little bit more to that. I know these are just 2 pieces per like representation. So I'm sure you have a more full, there might be more things that you have that you didn't put in here. This feels like a children's book right here that I'm looking at. This personal illustrations feels like you're trying to tell a story, which I really love. It feels like you're flipping the book and it's so-and-so's happening here, and then you have something here. So it's great. I'm trying to give you like the short end of it, but I really love your overall color palette. I think your pieces are strong. It just depends on where you want to put your focus. If it is going into concept design, understand or know what studios you're going after, and does your portfolio fit their style, right? If you see enough people's background work or layout designs of different shows, does your choices of your work fit in that realm of that studio? Cartoon Network is different from Nickelodeon. Nickelodeon is different from Sony. Sony is different from Disney, right? They have lots of different shows, but they have a definite demographic and a definite look and feel that they're going for. And it's up to you as an artist to kind of do your research and say, does my work fit that? And if it doesn't, and if you want to go after them, start creating new pieces that isn't copying what they're doing, but emulates a certain style that you think could, in a unique way, make it more attractive for them to look at your work, because they're looking for this. They're looking for that uniqueness. They're looking for that originality. They're looking for something that's personally you, that tells the story about you through your work. That's what I got.
Yes, thank you so much. Can I ask one question?
Sure. You can ask one question.
And I know we're tight on time, so I was wondering, do you think it's possible to work as a freelance illustrator or animator in the industry, or it's better to just be with one studio?
I say, why not go after all of it, both of it? Like I would be even saying you could submit this work to Lytro and see if they would even consider you for part of their freelance. You know, there's lots of opportunities for freelance in the industry, and it's depending on, you know, a freelance portfolio for illustration work is going to be a different portfolio, a little bit different portfolio than it is to going after a particular studio. So while you're focusing on doing this, and you said you're doing other things as well?
I currently work as an illustrator, but I work in different fields. Like I do culinary illustrations and stuff for books and
which it definitely shows like you have that appeal to it. So I would say I would keep going with that, and while you're doing that, building another portfolio that's specifically targeting towards, if you want to get into film and television, that kind of targets towards that. And while, you know, because at the end of the day, we need to make money and we need to feed ourselves or our families or whoever. So it's very fortunate to be able to make money doing artwork is a very fortunate thing. So I would say keep doing the illustration work too.
Okay.
But you're on your way to something really good. So it's nice work.
Thank
that was
you so
really
much.
nice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Adriana. That was lovely. I really liked your style. And I agree with Travis. I think the folks at Lytro would love to chat with you.
Well, you can disagree with me too if you want, Elizabeth. You don't have to.
No, I am almost always in agreement with you, Travis. I thank my team so much for staying a little bit extra with us. We are running over time because we have one student left.
Yep, that's fine. As long as everyone's willing to stay, I'm willing. Yep.
I'm so sorry. Ruben Gallardo, I am unable to open the PDF. So Ruben, if you're here, which I just saw you, please share your screen and you share your portfolio since I cannot do it on my end. Ruben, ¿me escuchas? Thank you.
Of course, no problem. Sorry, the PDF might be.
No, it may be my fault. I don't know, but
No, it's totally fine.
you
Is
you
that
got
your artwork in behind you, by the way?
Sorry? Oh,
Is that
yes,
your
that's
artwork?
mine.
I love
Yeah,
it.
that's
It's a
mine.
great color piece back there. Nice.
Thank you. There's more pieces from this project in my portfolio.
Okay, let's take it away.
Okay. I don't know how to put it in full. This is a free PDF.
Go to
I
view.
download
Go
it.
up to view. Up at the
Sorry?
top, view. No, go to view.
View.
See at the
Oh,
very
there's
top menu. See tools, view, account, help. Isn't there?
yeah,
There should be
I can't click them because there's the okay. There was the zoom options right there.
Go to view real quick.
View.
And is there a fit window width? Maybe that's okay. No, let's just go back the way it was. It's totally fine.
Okay. It was like this.
Yep. That's great. So yeah, just click through it on the right and then we'll take a look at it.
So, well, this was supposed to look a bit different, so it's a bit small. Should I zoom in?
No, I mean, I can look at your work on my end too, because I have everyone's portfolios. So I was able to look at a bunch of your work previously. All of this stuff is great. I love this piece down at the bottom. Your color choices for this piece is nice as a great use of light along with perspective to kind of feel it gives it a nice depth to it, which I think is great. What are you trying to go after? What would you like to do ultimately?
What would I try to do as an artist?
Yeah, what career would you like to fall into?
Well, I'd like to. Well, I love illustration, so I'm happy doing this kind of stuff. But I also love animation. So in what animation is concerned, I'd love to be able to make character animation. Yes,
concept art. Can you go to the next one?
Of course.
Yeah, you're already playing with really appealing angles and shot. Like the first one, you've got more of a worm's eye view looking up. It almost feels Dutch angle, which is nice. It's got a dramatic feel to it which is great. Like having that is really nice to have in here. Same with the design of the fox character on the bottom there is nice. My minor note would be on that fox character is to bring that knee up more in front. It flattens out because it feels like it's going towards camera more. And I feel like you'd add a little more depth to it if you just move the knee out a little bit more and have it a little bit higher up, so it had a little bit more depth to it, because it sort of loses the shape language of it against the other foot and with his arrows.
Okay.
Go ahead, go to the next one. Great. Okay. Not crazy about the first piece. It's not one of your stronger pieces for sure. The Mutant Ninja Turtle character, I like the pose. I would almost push the perspective more of like a stretch sort of fish eye lens effect with that posing. I think it could give it a little bit more dynamic feel to it. Do you understand what I mean by that?
Yes, more for sure, right?
Yep. So let's go to the next one. And also, again, you're doing kind of the same thing as you did with the fox. That right knee is almost straight on, and you don't see the dynamic feel of that leg. It almost loses the leg. It almost looks like he doesn't have a leg, like he got his leg amputated. You know what I mean? And it's just shifting it ever so slightly to kind of make it feel like it pops out more. So I like the robot design. Really nice color. You have a really, really good sense of color. So that's great. And I could see you doing concept illustration. Keep going.
Yeah, next page is more well, comic artwork.
Comic art. Yeah. Did you have a sequential art class or something?
Yes, I had comic art.
Comic art. Yeah, they call it sequential art sometimes. Nice. I'm not a huge fan of some of this composition. I would probably bring up the other one a little bit more. I would help create a sort of a unified, and this is me being nitpicky. Your black, your grayish colored background, and then your panels. I would fit your panels so that they would create a rectangle shape as opposed to them not matching. I don't know. I feel like, or overlap them in a way to kind of connect them all together.
Okay.
Because as you're, we typically, except if you're in Japan, we typically go from top to bottom, left to right, right? And when we're looking at panels. So it's when you're doing your shape designs and the way you're laying out your panels, make sure that you do it in a way that your eye immediately goes here and then goes to here, here, and here. Overall, I like it. It's your layout design that I'm not particularly 100% crazy about. That's all. Okay. Content-wise, it's great. Go down. Again, great. I would push that character, the top one. I really would have pushed that character towards camera a little bit more, and maybe slightly to the left and slightly bigger, or put that character a lot smaller and make the landscape dominant and him small. To kind of make this feeling of like big versus small. I would almost like you're kind of flattening this. It's not as dynamic as if he was in the same place, not in the same place, but pushed in the same sort of quadrant in the composition, but smaller in the middle of this field looking up, with maybe some him lighter, so he's looking up at something, to make it feel like more bigger, more cinematic. Or bring him forward and looking up. So, which would give two completely different feels to the composition that you're.
I think I was going for the first one. The one that's it's smaller.
Yeah, I would make them less dominant in the picture.
Okay.
The first two are okay. Again, I don't feel like they're your stronger pieces. Let's just keep moving forward, because I think it's all kind of similar notes that I was giving before. Yeah, these are all really nice and really cool. Like, I can tell that you could totally do a graphic novel. Like, if you had a story and you wanted to fit, like that top one is great. I don't know. She's almost dead center, but she's not, which is not bad. But she's competing against the sliding glass door line coming down between her. I don't know if it's the contrast that's similar. I would somehow lighten her, either push that back more or have her overlap it, because it's causing a little bit of a tangent with her chest and the line coming straight down. Like, overlap it slightly a little bit more so it doesn't cause a tangent. You know what I mean by a tangent? It flattens it out. Yeah. I'm sure tangents are one of those 101 things that teachers will teach you to avoid, but I end up doing them too.
Yeah.
last one there is great.
Oh, sorry.
No, everything's great. Keep going.
Okay. Yeah, this is the last page.
I'm gonna be honest, get rid of that last one. That last one doesn't feel like you. Doesn't even look like your style.
Okay.
I'm just gonna be brutally honest. It doesn't feel like the rest of your pieces. I would replace that with something else.
Okay.
And that's just my opinion again. But and that's it really. Like, or redo that piece and make it feel more like go back. I don't know if you want to even read it. I hate saying redo something. It's so exhausting. You know, go to that number 3 panel.
This one.
Number 3, yeah. Again, really, really strong pieces in here. Like I'd love to see you end with something like that piece up at the top, at the bottom, on the last page. But overall, you have a strong portfolio. If I was to say get rid of anything, it would probably be that one and even that pen and ink one on the very, very last panel.
Okay.
And that would be it. Those are my notes.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And again, you got a great sense of color, which is really nice. I'm especially coming from a guy that's colorblind. You know, I'm red-green colorblind, and I always am constantly adjusting and checking and doing things. And I have my workespaces. Very common.
It's kind of funny because I'm colorblind too, actually.
Yeah, it's a very common thing with especially men or males tend to be more colorblind and red-green colorblind. So that's why I was like, it's nice to see your color palette. It's really good.
And
Elizabeth, you want to point out? Yeah, that
these
one.
two drawings here were kind of special because I made them for my animation pieces, and yeah, to not having any trouble with colors because I'm colorblind, I made them just flat colors and try to match the color with the mood I was going for.
Great.
In scene.
Yeah, and being colorblind doesn't have to stop you from doing that. Especially, you have a good sense of value, which is really helpful. Elizabeth, do you want to add anything?
No, I'm so happy that you get to spend so quality time with the students at Senati and San Francisco University. I'm so glad that we got this opportunity with you, Travis. And I invite the students to join Travis on his channel, Sketch to Animate, and to continue enjoying Wacom Academy. My team is wrapping the event up. So if Ruben, if you don't have any more questions for Travis, and if Travis, if you have nothing else to add, this portfolio review session is a wrap. I want to thank everybody, all the students. Muchísimas gracias a los estudiantes que estuvieron con nosotros. Sé que a veces nos ponemos nerviosos al mostrar el trabajo que hemos hecho con tanto tiempo, con tanto cariño, pero están en buenas manos porque Travis es una persona muy bondadosa, muy gentil y una persona con una experiencia realmente, pues, habla por sí sola. Les recomiendo que lo sigan, que lo apoyen y les agradezco su paciencia porque fue una sesión larga y su valentía de compartir el trabajo con todo nuestro grupo de Wacom Academy. Wacom Academy Day 1 is a wrap. Thank you, Travis Blaze.
Yeah, thank you. And Ruben, if you have any other questions or anybody has any other questions, I want to thank Elizabeth again and Carolina for inviting me to this event. This is always a great opportunity for me, and I really love looking at people's work. And if you guys want to see more of what I do, I'm sure Elizabeth and Carolina will have my credentials. I'm literally jumping from here to doing a draw over tonight on Twitch. But please join my Discord, come to our website, sign up for a Discord. and check out what we're doing. So that's all I got.
Muchas gracias, Travis. Muchas gracias a todo el público que nos acompañó todo el día en Wacom Academy. Vuelvan mañana, regresen para la segunda ronda de Wacom Academy día 2. Tenemos grandes eventos. Muchas gracias a todo el mundo. Que pasen buenas noches. Gracias, Travis. Un abrazo grande.
Gracias. Bonita noche. Recuerden que tenemos descuentos toda la semana.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
Descuentos en todos los distribuidores Wacom, por favor, chequen también en su cuenta regional.
Vamos a estar publicando en redes sociales los descuentos con todos nuestros canales. Gracias.
Gracias.